our New Testament reading today, Paul gives us what I would call rules or guidelines of ministry. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, beginning with verse 12. We can say with confidence and a clear conscience that we have lived with a God-given holiness and sincerity in all our dealings. We are dependent on God's grace, not on our own human wisdom. That is how we have conducted ourselves before the world, and especially toward you. Our letters have been straightforward, and there is nothing written between the lines and nothing you can't understand. I hope someday you will fully understand us. Now look at that. I hope someday you'll fully understand us. Paul said, you haven't figured me out yet. Okay. Paul was a man of God. He didn't think like a businessman. He didn't think like a political leader. He said, one day I hope you'll fully understand us. And even if you don't understand us now, then on the day when the Lord Jesus returns, you will be proud of us in the same way we are proud of you. Now, I want you to notice some guidelines for ministry here. First of all, Paul said, as leaders, as pastors, we are to live among God's people with a God-given holiness and sincerity in all of our actions. We are not to go clubbing with the members. We are not to go out sinning with the members. We are not to join the people in questionable activities. We are to live among the people with a God-given holiness. And we are to live among the people with sincerity, that our words are sincere, our actions are sincere. Secondly, as pastors, we are to depend upon grace, not on human wisdom. He said, we have depended on God's grace and not our own human wisdom. He said, this is how we've conducted ourselves before the world and especially before you. She said, all right, we live among you with God-given holiness. We live among you with total sincerity. And he said, we live among you depending on grace, not upon our own wisdom. He said, you know what? That's how I lived among you. But then he said, now my ministry among you, that has some guidelines also. He says in verse 13, our letters have been straightforward and there's nothing written between the lines and nothing you can't understand. The words of a man of God or a woman of God are to be straightforward. We are not to play political speech, just straightforward. Yes, our words can be gracious. Jesus spoke with gracious words. Our words can be gracious, but our words need to be straightforward. There needs to be no ambiguity in our words. We speak straight up to people, and people always know what we say we mean. There is a straight up speech. There's no ambiguity in our words. So ministry is without ambiguity. Ministry is without politics. Ministry is just straightforward words. But I think the most beautiful thing here, Paul says, you may not understand us now because, please, as men and women of God, I understand we flow from a different core. We flow from a core. It's like a businessman told me one time, he said, Pastor Sumrall, we need a better ROI on our properties. I said, our ROI on properties is not financial, it's souls. So you may look at church properties as a poor investment, but God looks on properties as a great investment. It's an altar for God in the earth. It's something that allows us to bring souls. Okay, so we flow from a different core. We're not politicians. We're not businessmen. We're not looking to make money. That's not who we are. And when you try to evaluate us like that, forgive me, Paul said, you're not going to understand us right now. But he said, listen, there's a day that I want you to be proud of me. And he said, on the day when Jesus returns, when the rewards are given out, on the day when Jesus returns, he said, that's when you're going to be proud of us. On the day when Jesus returns, I want COP to be proud of me. I want COP to watch me receive my rewards from the Father and be proud of me. As I stand before the bema seat of Christ and I receive the rewards that God has for me, I want COP to be cheering and clapping and proud of what God has done by his grace through my life. God never said, and young pastors, listen to me, God never said the people would be proud of us in this world. In fact, Paul says, as apostles, he said, we're led like on a humiliation march. He said, people aren't proud of us right now. But on the day we stand before Jesus, when Jesus returns, that's when the people should be proud of us.